You know, when I was running, my whole nutrition plan, it probably wasn't the best, you know, because I definitely hit that marathon wall a couple times. And, you know, one of the things I really, you know, wanted to bring to the table when we started the whole program here at the Mammoth Track Club is just bringing the whole team concept to it when it came to training, the good science with it, you know, good nutrition, good recovery, and you know, and just the whole program. Because for me, I didn't really know a lot about nutrition when I started, and felt like it was just all right, drink some water and maybe take some pasta the night before. But it's really become complex. And you know, I know with you when we started, you know, your first couple marathons, you know, you crossed that line going, you know, I felt like kind of bonked a little bit. And even though you were running really fast and hit some really great times, it's like you felt there was a little bit more in the tank, don't you?
Yeah, I think, you know, one of the things that I was always trying to figure out as an elite athlete, even on our team, there's this variance of, do you have breakfast in the morning or do you not? You know, because you want your stomach to be okay during the run, but at the same time, you want to fuel yourself to go all the way through to the marathon finish. So that's something I've worked on, practiced over and over again, and really refined. My routine now is to get up, have the water right before, and then have a breakfast that is pretty simple, you know, like it's not a lot, but it gets the system going and it gets the blood sugar back to where it should be. So for me, I have some sourdough toast, usually like 2 pieces, and then I have some olive oil as a healthy fat to go with that, like a tablespoon of olive oil, and then a scoop of muscle milk for protein. So what I look for in my meals now is, you know, a healthy fat, a complex carbohydrate that's going to digest slower, like a sourdough bread will do since it's a lower glycemic index, and then a protein to go along with it.
Yeah, and I know, you know, we've got a lot of guys on the team. You know, we've got about a dozen athletes here in Mammoth, and it's really hard to kind of cater to everybody. And it was like, you know, I was really fortunate to find Rita Klabaka here, and we kind of stole her from the Mammoth Sports Hospital. She's, you know, resident exercise physiologist, and she's really helped, I think, kind of dial in the nutrition. And this is probably the first marathon you came across the line feeling like you know, you still had gas in the tank. And I think that was important.
Well, something that we want to look at, you know, during training is how are you staying hydrated during training? Because you won't have a good race if you haven't practiced your hydration and your nutrition during training. So you want to make sure that you're starting off with good carbohydrates in the morning. As you get into that training run, after about an hour or so, taking a look again, making sure that you're getting some fuel in, again, depending on how long the duration of your run is going to be and how intense you're running. Every athlete tends to have a little different preference for the type of carbohydrate or the gel or, you know, manufacture of what they can stomach. So it's important to try a few different things if you're new to getting this going, and just see how you stomach it, see how your training goes.
Yeah, I know how those tests you've done with us with those glucose tests and correlating them with the heart rate and different things like that have been really good at giving us a good measure of where Ryan is when he's doing some of these really specific simulation type of effort. Like for Boston, where he's running 45, 50 minutes straight downhill, a lot of leg pounding, a lot of muscle work, heart rate's jumping up, and then we're making him run straight uphill for an hour, and getting some of that data has been really great in dialing in and understanding, you know, where we need to go with it. And then obviously post-race, post-workout nutrition is a really vital part too. What do you do, Ryan?
Yeah, I think when I look at post-race nutrition, I want to kick off the recovery process as soon as I can. So I look to get in a simple carb right away, rather than a complex carb, so it gets in my system really quick. So my muscles and my body's just craving sugar after being, you know, working so hard. So I get in a simple sugar, and for me, that's oftentimes just like white plain bread instead of, you know, like a whole wheat or something like that. And then obviously you want to get in protein along with that. So again, another scoop of muscle milk for me kind of tops off my protein. And then I also throw in a healthy fat just to as a part of a balanced snack.
You know, prior to a run, you may want to take in 15 grams of protein. Protein's not going to help you a lot during the run itself. It's not going to provide a whole lot of fuel for you during that run itself. So you want to focus more on the carbohydrate. Again, practice with what you can stomach. Most people are going to need at least, you know, a couple hundred calories of carbohydrate. So looking at 50, maybe to 60 grams of carbohydrate prior to a longer duration event. A lot of people cannot handle protein as far as absorption, ingestion as they're exercising. Really can lead to some stomach problems for
So we
people.
may get stomach cramps or things like that. I've definitely had some of those in my day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of that, you know, during the run, it's like, as an athlete, I'm like, I want to take in as much as I can to make sure I'm fueled, but then there's that delicate balance of how much is too much, how much is not enough.
Right. Most research right now, at least, is showing that the body can oxidize about 1 gram of carbohydrate or glucose per minute of exercise. So you want to take that and kind of extrapolate it, of course, the duration of what you're planning on doing as far as your training or the race. That's going to be, again, somewhat individual dependent. So larger people might need a little bit more than that, smaller people less. Intensity of exercise is really going to matter too. You might need to tweak it up a little bit if you're going to be running hard. If you're an average 9-minute miler like myself, you may not need that much.
Right, and so pretty much you're not looking to just totally like put back in what you're burning, because I think that's probably going to be too hard for you to handle.
Yeah, you absolutely can't replace everything that you've expended during the course of a marathon. So,
and speaking of that, after I ran the Boston Marathon recently, I finished the race, my stomach's kind of in knots, and I just don't feel like putting anything in. I know after a lot of hard workouts, I don't feel like putting things in. I know many runners are out there, they're like, after the run, like, oh, now's a great time to maybe not eat, and maybe I'll lose some weight, I feel lighter, and I feel like I've just exercised, and so my body's gonna get more fit by not eating.
you do need to try to force yourself to get at least something in within that first half hour after finishing, some hydration, carbohydrate, and that's where you want to add in a little bit of protein, because you've broken down that muscle tissue. Try to get a little bit of protein in. In simple terms, those amino acids, get back into the bloodstream, get back down to the muscle tissue. They're the building blocks of protein. If you can handle 40 grams of carbohydrate, 30 grams, 25 grams of protein right after you're done, great. Some people can't. So again, you need to kind of play around with what you feel you can handle, but get a little bit of something in within that first 30 minutes, and then give yourself a little bit of time, maybe another hour, and start to continue to add carb and protein. The time to look at fat loss is really through kind of consistent duration training and better quality nutrition, cutting back a little bit calorically throughout the week, not necessarily depriving yourself of what you need when you most need it.
Right. So basically what you're saying is the big time is really pay attention to when we're eating, to have maintained a good high metabolism,
Right.
and not so much like just, eating whenever you want.
Exactly.
So you feel like you've learned a lot about that stuff, Ryan?
Yeah, I've really come a long ways in my nutrition and picked up a lot of tricks along the road, and these are certainly some of them.